Hey guys, me again. um, do I have a tissue over here? Yes, I do. Way over here. Okay. Sorry. Ugh. It's gonna be nice when this stops running down my throat. Anyway. In the last video, we started talking about my mom. And I told you I wanted to tell you mom stories. When I was a little girl, my mother could assemble anything, put anything, make anything. I mean, she was amazing. She she was very smart, very, very shy. Both of my parents, very, very shy, which is why I'm so outgoing. Because if we were in the store and we needed an employee for something, that was my job. Because my parents were too shy. um, my mother got over it a little bit as time went on. She was, I wouldn't even say my father was definitely shy. My mother, however, I don't think I would say she was shy. I think it's the wrong word. I think my mother was confident. And she didn't like to talk to new people. Me, I put myself out there even if I'm a little uncomfortable. But my mother could do anything. She could make anything. She could assemble anything. I mean, we called my father mechanically declined. Oh, hold on, battery. Hey guys, back with a new battery. Sorry, I gotta take my bills. As I was saying before the battery died, we lovingly referred to my father as mechanically declined. As mechanically inclined, he was not. Just let mom put it together. And generally speaking, he did. And it's so funny because when I was growing up later on, excuse me, past the age of 5 and beyond, my parents didn't really, I mean, they had their moments like every other couple that's been together for a zillion years. But they didn't really fight. They didn't argue. Partly because my father was so non-confrontational that he really didn't, he hated that. So, and that drove my mother crazy because she was the opposite. If she wanted to, look, Willie, tell me how you really feel, blah, 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 blah. You know, that's just how she was. Um, and I don't think that's a bad thing because I'm kind of the same way. I'm a lot like my mother. Um, Emotionally, um, mentally, you know. Uh, the only time they really argued was when they tried to build something together. um, Fuses would get short, you know. Um, when you're trying to build your kid's swing set, it's like, okay, Willie, just leave me alone. I will do it, you know. And she did. They started working on it together. He went to work the next day. It was summer vacation. And Mom said, come on, let's go. We went outside and we built it together. And he came home. He was stunned because we had mostly Mom. I was a kid. Had built the swing set by herself, and it was like, how did you do that, dear? You know, that's what he called her. He called her dear, and well, you know, it wasn't that difficult, hon. You know, so my father had this old toolbox. It was a red. I still remember this thing. Steel toolbox, not stainless because it rusted. And it obviously had been whacked with a hammer at one time or another. This thing was terrible. I wish I had a picture of it. Um, and it had um, the closure like a lunchbox. You know, the little metal clip that goes up the top, you pull it down, and it closes. Not that closure did it much good. At one time, it did close to some degree, but that thing was in terrible condition. Um, and I just had a few things in it, you know, sockets and screwdrivers and hammer and stuff. But yeah, so just enough stuff to be able to put stuff together. Anything electronic, that was Mom's domain. Um, the TV guy actually taught my mother a trick on the old TVs for when um, they get a power surge from like a lightning strike on the line or something. Um, he taught her because they brought the TV in. They said, it's got hit again. And he said, let me show you how to do this, Mrs. Wilson. And so he said, you hair dryer and a good magnet. So my mother had her little red hair dryer that she had that thing my entire life. And she had a bingo wand. For those of you who've not been to bingo, before they started going to all paper and you would use ink daubers, some of the games were done on cards, and you had chips. And around the edge of the chip, the border of the chip was metal, and you used a wand to pick up the chips off the card when you were done. So you'd use the heavy bingo wand and the hairdryer, and you would use the magnet, in this case the heavy bingo wand, and you would go across like this, up and down, slowly, bringing it toward the center, coming in toward the center. And then you would take the hairdryer, hit the button, and pull it out. And it would pull that electricity out, and you would, the extra surge out, and it would work again. We had a TV sitting in our kitchen. It was gonna go on the dump. And my mother remembered being told about that. And she said, it's gonna go on the dump anyway. I might as well try it. You know, and my father agreed, well, it can't hurt anything, dear, so go ahead. You know, it can't be any more broken than it is. It worked. And she started doing it for everybody in the neighborhood. You have to remember, though, those were tube TVs, okay? Those were not flat screens. I don't think it would work with a flat screen, because a flat screen has, depending on the specific type of flat screen, has a liquid display, whether it's LCD, which is liquid crystal display, plasma, which is another kind of liquid display, or it could be anything. And so with the liquid display, I don't think that would work. Let me know if you've tried it on a liquid display, you know, on a flat screen. So I can remember her. Another thing she assembled, my dome monkey bars. We weren't rich people, okay? You know, I talk about the stuff that I had, and I should probably explain that every year at tax time, federal taxes, I got something. Most of it was spent on something for me. My swing set. Following year it was my jungle gym, my dome jungle gym that we had at school that I loved. And my mother put that together too. That was not some assembly required. That was complete and utter assembly required. I kid you not. It had these round pieces, and then it had these metal sticks. They're like metal pieces that go into the round pieces, and you have to bolt it all together. And it's I can't even imagine how long it took her to do it. She did it on her own. My mother made every little girl in the neighborhood a crocheted Cabbage Patch doll. She would buy the licensed Cabbage Patch heads. And they came with this sort of what do you call it? Zip tie thing that went in and secured the head. And she crocheted the entire doll. She would buy the stuffing and she would stuff it, and every little girl in the neighborhood had a crocheted Cabbage Patch doll that my mother made. And It was just something she did, you know. Um, my mother made me clothes. My mother made doll clothes. Plus, we all had a bunch of um, clothes for our baby dolls that used to be someone in the neighborhood's baby clothes until they were too old to wear them and became doll clothes. Um, excuse me. Do you remember doing that? Having doll clothes, baby clothes? We're at 85%. Good. Um, baby clothes becoming doll clothes. um, my mother, like I said, she made me clothes. She made doll clothes. She made dolls. As I said, she was constantly repairing dolls and stuffed critters. I actually have my very first bear. This was my very first stuffed animal. I was, according to my mother, 6 months old when I got this. And so this will be fun. Do not make fun of Barry. And that's his name, Barry. It's always been his name. As you can see, his ear is a little bit loose, although my mother did a good job sewing it down. You can see where she sewed it. She did a really good job on this ear. But the reason that his ear is like this is because I have tiny hands. So I couldn't really drag him around by his hand. So I would drag him around by his ear. I would walk around carrying him by his ear. In my little tiny hand. So his eyes are, well, needs new paint on that eye. That eye is busted in half. Mom has also reattached his neck a few times. He is so stiff. I think he's been in the washer and dryer a few times when I was a kid. You can tell because his stuffing is a little bit on the stiff side. But yeah, Barry here is just so much to him, and I'll have him forever. I will never get rid of him. This animal is 48 years old, and there's just no way. Anyway, Mom set Barry back there. And it's not Barry, it's Barry. Beary. Barry. How I remembered his name after all, all these years, I have not a clue, but I never forgot his name. So let's take a peek over here. 92%, yay. That's good. So anyway, so she did many mommy operation on Barry over there. My mother was a cross stitcher, which she was extremely good at. Like I said, she could fix anything. Somebody's VCR in the neighborhood was on the fritz. It was probably sitting on our kitchen table with my mother over it, cleaning all the heads and, taking the lid off and cleaning all the heads and crap like that. So that's how I know how to take care of the one that I just got. and the one that I, excuse me, wasn't able to fix was because of my mother. My mother taught me from the time I was little how to clean a VCR. As a matter of fact, she was so good at keeping one running that we had one that was basically haunted. This poor VCR. It we ended up giving it away, and it ran for a bunch of years for Diane and Barry after that. Anyway, you would hit pause when you were playing it, and it would start rewinding. Or you would hit fast forward, and it would pause. Or you would hit play, and it would start. Mute, whatever. It just would do whatever it felt like doing. It didn't communicate with the controls anymore. Matter of fact, it was the first remote controlled VCR that we had, and this remote control plugged into it. It was a wired remote control. Yeah, a wired remote control. If any of you ever had a wired remote control, maybe I'll try to find a picture of that. Well, I don't have a picture of mine, but maybe I can find a picture of a wired remote control. But yeah, I guess we had a VCR before that. That was because we got our first VCR from the video store. And I believe my mother said our very, very first VCR was a top loader, which I don't have any memory of, but I only remember the front loaders. But my mother, like I said, if somebody's VCR was on the fritz, it was probably sitting on our table, getting its heads cleaned with a cotton swab and alcohol, with its screws sitting here and its lid sitting here. Dad would come home from work. Whose VCR are you cleaning today, Ella? That's just, that was Mom. Whose TV are you, zapping? Matter of fact, her hairdryer finally blew up. Well, it didn't explode or anything, but it made a terrible popping noise, and it died doing a TV. It finally let go doing a TV. We did go out that night and buy one, because a girl really can't be without one. Even I have one, and I hardly ever use it. I like mine though. It's purple, and it's actually a folding one. It's a travel hairdryer, technically, so it folds. I would never get rid of it, because I have been known to use a hairdryer once in a while. So, and actually I'll probably use it when I dye my hair at Halloween next week. I think that'll be probably the quickest way to get it, after I get it all done, is to blow it dry. My mother, she was the gift wrapper. Dad did not do gift wrapping. When I got older, I would wrap his gift to her, because his gifts to her, because he just, that wasn't his thing at all. He would sit with her while she wrapped my gifts, and maybe hold a folded, piece of wrapping paper or whatever, but And they used to like to have fun trying to hide them from, what they actually were from me, because I can touch a gift and know what it is. I'm that good. So, barely touch a gift. Like, not even intending to find out what it is and can figure it out. So, yeah, it's one of those things where people try to hide what my gifts are, disguise them is the word I'm looking for. And so, you would have fun with her doing that. Um, Bicycles, training wheels, that was all mom. Um, I remember walking to to the library with mom, um, and we got this book, and it was a book teaching kids how to do household chores and stuff. And one of the things it taught was laundry, and we did my first load of laundry from this book. Even though my mother knew how to do laundry and could have taught me how to do laundry, this book was step by step for a kid. So it just made it easier, because it was step by step for a child. So she just thought, well, if we do it this way, she'll see it step by step, which with my disabilities I needed anyway. So, and we did that. And there was a book that we used to get all the time at the library. My Mom Will Love Me Again in Spring. I will try to find that book. No saying I will, because I'm not confident that I will, but it's a little girl talking about how her and her dog make a mess because it's wintertime, and they come in the house and it's mud all over the floor, and mom gets frustrated, and all kinds of stuff. But mom will love me again in spring. And that's what she kept saying throughout the book, is she would get into all kinds of trouble, or make a mess or whatever it was. It was wintertime. She was in the house, and her and her dog would get footprints all over. And at the end of each thing, she would say, "But mom will love me again in spring." And so, if you can find it, put it in the comments. I have looked. I will look again. But that was the hardest thing for me, was missing that mom. The mom who could do freaking anything, who could put anything together, who could she was superwoman. My mother could literally clean a house spotless top to bottom with 4 kids going crazy in the house without a problem. And it was like, how do you do that? My mother had patience. I didn't realize it until I was an adult, how much patience my mother had when I was a child. And all the kids that she had. That was the other thing. My mother was a mother of 1, but everybody thought she was a mother of 10 because she always had a zillion of us around. She had me, of course. She had my cousins, the 2 boys. She had Chris and Chrissy. She had Chrissy's little brother a lot of times, Dennis, I think. She had Dina, Gary, Ashley. Ugh. And my parents were the parents that I can remember one time we were going to the carnival, and we invited Dina to go with us. Dina's only 2 years younger than me, maybe 3. And of course, Gary and Cindy are like, bye, you know, because my father um, grew up with Gary's older brothers, and their kids were always at our house across the driveway anyway. And my father, like I said, knew him forever. So Dina came with us. And it was normal for, if we were going for ice cream or going to the carnival or whatever we were doing, we always had an extra kid or two, you know, because we had Chrissy with us. If we were going for ice cream in the summer, we had Chrissy with us. Because chances are, if her parents were going to get ice cream, I usually got one. So, and in the summer at dinner time, Christy was generally with us. Or Dina. Okay, guys, I ran out of storage, but that's okay. The point of the story is my father lost his keys. Thank goodness my mother had the spare pair. Mommy's always prepared. I hope you enjoyed these momilies. And let me know in the comments if you have any momilies about your mom. Bye, guys. Have a wonderful rest of your day, and God bless you.